The crystalline ships of the HFY fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of light, their massive forms casting long shadows across the Martian surface. Admiral Casthor stood on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Victory, his 4 arms clasped behind his back in what his species considered a pose of absolute confidence. The red planet below would serve as the perfect staging ground for their conquest of Earth, a primitive world that still relied on nuclear deterrence and chemical rockets. Strategic analysis complete, Admiral, announced First Observer Till, their tentacles wavering with excitement as they processed the data. Earth's defensive capabilities are exactly as our preliminary scans indicated. Their most advanced weapons would barely scratch our secondary shields. Casthor's facial ridges rippled in what passed for a smile among the HFY. Initiate the standard declaration protocol. Let them witness the full might of the collective before their inevitable surrender. In Seattle, 16-year-old Jake Martinez was in the middle of a heated online gaming session when every screen in his room suddenly flickered. His phone, laptop, and gaming monitor all displayed the same image: a towering alien figure with iridescent scales and multiple limbs. "People of Earth," the figure began, its words automatically translated into every human language. "I am Admiral Casthor of the HFY Collective. Your planet has been selected for incorporation into our empire. Your technology is primitive, your defenses inadequate. Surrender within 1 Earth rotation, or face annihilation." Jake barely registered his character's death in the game. His fingers were already flying across his keyboard, not in panic, but with intense curiosity. Something about the way the alien transmission had hijacked every device simultaneously caught his attention. As a coding enthusiast who spent his weekends participating in cybersecurity competitions, he recognized patterns in even the most chaotic systems. Is anyone else seeing this?" He typed in his favorite programming Discord server. The responses flooded in immediately. The server, usually dedicated to sharing coding tips and debugging help, exploded with activity. But while many were panicking or sharing memes about the alien's appearance, Jake noticed something peculiar in the transmission's digital signature. "Guys, check this out," he typed quickly. "The aliens are broadcasting on all frequencies, but they're using some kind of quantum encryption to maintain the signal strength. Look at these patterns in the background noise." Meanwhile, aboard the Eternal Victory, Admiral Casthor was growing increasingly confused. The response to their declaration wasn't proceeding according to any of their simulated scenarios. Instead of government officials scrambling to respond or military forces mobilizing, Earth's communication channels were being flooded with pictures. "Admiral," called out Communications Officer Till, their usually composed voice tinged with confusion. "Humans are responding to our declaration. But I don't understand. They're comparing our fleet to something called disco balls and sharing images of their domestic pets wearing reflective accessories." "Irrelevant," Casthor declared, though his facial ridges twitched with irritation. "They're clearly attempting to mask their fear with primitive humor. Prepare the first wave of quantum-guided missiles." Back in Seattle, Jake had just made a breakthrough. The alien encryption, while incredibly advanced, had a fundamental flaw. It was too perfect. Its patterns were too predictable, too mathematically precise. He shared his findings with the now 1,000-strong group of programmers, hackers, and tech enthusiasts who had gathered in various online forums. "It's like they've never had to deal with chaos before," he typed excitedly. "Their whole system is built on perfect mathematical sequences. But that means we can disrupt it," completed another user, posting from somewhere in Tokyo. "Their perfect order is their weakness." As the HFY fleet began their final preparations for attack, they remained unaware that their greatest threat wasn't Earth's military forces or nuclear arsenals. It was a global network of curious teenagers, armed with keyboards and an understanding of chaos that the perfectly ordered HFY civilization had never needed to develop. Meera Patel stared at her laptop screen, dark circles under her eyes from hours of analyzing the alien transmission data. The dorm room around her was littered with empty energy drink cans and half-eaten snacks. As a sophomore majoring in computer science, she pulled plenty of all-nighters before, but this was different. This time, she was trying to crack alien code. "There's something weird about their targeting systems," she muttered, taking another sip of her now-cold coffee. The quantum-guided missiles the aliens were preparing to launch used a guidance system that seemed impossibly advanced, yet somehow familiar. Her roommate peered over her shoulder. "Shouldn't we be evacuating, or something?" "Not yet," Mira replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "Look at this pattern. It's like they're using the same principles as quantum encryption, but they're applying it to physical guidance systems." She posted her findings on Codehaven, her favorite programming forum. Within minutes, responses started pouring in from tech enthusiasts worldwide. A programmer from Brazil noticed similarities to gaming physics engines. A quantum computing researcher from India pointed out vulnerabilities in the quantum entanglement patterns. Aboard the Eternal Victory, Admiral Casthor was growing impatient. "Launch the first wave of missiles," he commanded. "Target their primary military installations." The missiles streaked toward Earth, their quantum guidance systems ensuring perfect accuracy, or so the Zigzathar thought. What they didn't expect was thousands of human programmers treating their advanced weapons like a fascinating new debugging challenge. Mira's eyes widened as she watched her code interface with the alien systems. "Guys, their quantum targeting is basically just really advanced pathfinding. It's like they've never had to deal with someone actively messing with their routes before." A 15-year-old from Australia had already created a script that made the missiles think every target was simultaneously in multiple locations. A group of game developers from Sweden figured out how to feed false quantum states into the guidance systems. Mira's own code introduced random variables that the perfectly ordered alien algorithms couldn't process. The results were immediate and spectacular. The first wave of missiles began behaving erratically. Some spun in elaborate spirals, leaving trails across the sky like cosmic dancers. Others became confused and started chasing their own quantum signatures. A few simply stopped mid-flight, hovering in place as their guidance systems tried to resolve impossible mathematical paradoxes. Impossible. First observer Xtil's tentacles writhed in distress. The missiles report thousands of simultaneous interference patterns, but their technology shouldn't be capable of this. Admiral Casthor's facial ridges darkened with rage. How are they intercepting quantum-guided weapons with their primitive computers? The answer, of course, was that they weren't. Earth's teenagers and young adults, raised on a diet of video games, coding challenges, and chaos theory, were simply introducing something the Zigzathar had never encountered: unpredictability. Back in her dorm room, Mira had joined a hastily assembled global network of coders. Someone had created a virtual leaderboard tracking successful missile redirects. A team of high school students from Japan had turned the whole thing into an impromptu game, complete with scoring systems for different intervention methods. "The aliens are trying to patch their systems," announced a programmer from Germany. "They're attempting to add new quantum verification protocols." Mira grinned, cracking her knuckles. "Perfect. That means we can mess with the updates too. Who wants to help me create some quantum spaghetti code?" As dawn broke over different parts of Earth, the sky was filled with the unusual sight of advanced alien missiles performing what looked like an elaborate aerial ballet. The Zigzathar's perfect quantum mathematics was being undone by human chaos, their superior technology rendered helpless by teenagers who approached the problem not as a military challenge, but as the universe's most exciting hackathon. Alex Thompson, known online as Stardrifter, hadn't slept since the alien invasion began. But unlike others who stayed awake from fear, they were too excited to sleep. The movements of the alien ships were hauntingly familiar. They matched almost exactly with the attack patterns from Stellar Armada, the space combat game where Alex held multiple world records. "It's like they're running on rails," Alex muttered, watching the live satellite feed of the Zixathar fleet's formation. Their fingers twitched instinctively, muscle memory from thousands of hours of gameplay kicking in. They're using optimal patterns, but optimal isn't always best against human players. The call from NASA came as a surprise. Alex initially thought it was a prank when their phone displayed United States Space Force as the caller ID. But 20 minutes later, they were in a video conference with military officials, space agency representatives, and a dozen other top-ranked space combat gamers from around the world. The alien fleet's movements follow predictable patterns, explained Colonel Lisa Wei, her face serious on the video call. Our analysts believe their tactical computers are optimized for traditional space warfare. But what we need now isn't traditional. As if on cue, delivery drones began arriving at the homes of selected gamers worldwide, carrying modified gaming controllers and neural interface headsets. The same technology that powered their favorite games had been hastily adapted to control Earth's defensive drone fleet. "This is just like the Zerg Rush level," commented Yuki Tanaka, a 16-year-old champion from Tokyo, as she synced her controller with the defense network. "Except this time, it's real." Aboard the Eternal Victory, Admiral Kazthor was losing patience. Their missile attacks had failed spectacularly, and now they needed to move to direct ship-to-ship combat. "Begin the standard combat formation," he ordered. Pattern Sigma 7, undefeatable in over 10,000 simulated battles. But as the Zixathar ships began their carefully choreographed attack sequence, something unexpected happened. Earth's defensive drones didn't follow any known military doctrine. Instead, they moved in chaos patterns that seemed impossible to predict. "What is this madness?" First observer Angstil exclaimed, their tentacles twisting in confusion. "They're violating every principle of proper space combat." Alex's hands flew over their controller, leading a squadron of drones in what gamers called the Spiral of Death maneuver, a tactic considered too risky and impractical in real combat, but devastatingly effective in games. Around the world, other gamers were employing similarly unorthodox strategies. Yuki's drones performed bunny hop attacks, bouncing off debris in ways that confused the alien targeting systems. Marcus Santos from Brazil had his units executing spawn camping maneuvers near the Zixathar fleet's exit points from hyperspace. Each tactic came straight from gaming, too unpredictable for the aliens' combat computers to counter effectively. "They can't hit what they can't predict." Alex grinned, watching their score climb on the hastily implemented leaderboard. Someone had even added achievement notifications. Alex had just unlocked First Blood for disabling a Zixathar cruiser. The space around Earth had become a chaotic battlefield that defied conventional military logic. Teenage gamers, using skills honed in virtual combat, were running circles around an alien fleet that had conquered dozens of worlds. Their unconventional tactics, born from years of finding exploits and pushing game engines to their limits, proved impossible for the Zixathar's perfect algorithms to counter. "This defies all tactical analysis." Admiral Kazthor raged as another squadron of his ships fell into disarray, their formation broken by what appeared to be inspired by something called a 360 no-scope. But for Earth's gamers, it was just another day of playing their favorite game. Only this time, they were saving the world while competing for the highest score. Rose Wilson never expected her weekly baking livestream to become Earth's secret weapon. The 73-year-old grandmother from Portland had been sharing her famous cookie recipes online for years, building a modest but devoted following. Today, she was making her signature chocolate chip cookies, alien invasion or not. "Now, dearies," she said to her camera, flour dusting her apron, "the secret is to let the butter soften naturally. No microwaving. That's how you get flat cookies, and we're not having that in this house." What Rose didn't know was that her vintage radio equipment, combined with her ancient television antenna, was creating a unique interference pattern that perfectly disrupted the Zixathar's quantum communications. Her cozy kitchen had become an inadvertent jamming station. Meanwhile, in Dublin, Tim O'Brien was having the strangest day of his career. Working for a small internet service provider, he'd noticed something peculiar about the alien fleet's reactions to certain data packets. "Hey, look at this," he messaged his colleague. "Every time someone sends a cat video through our servers, the alien ship's shields flicker for exactly 2.3 seconds. Tim's discovery spread through tech support groups worldwide. Soon, network engineers were coordinating with content creators in what they called Operation Feline Freedom. Popular cat videos were being broadcast on every available frequency, each one causing tiny disruptions in the Zixthar's defensive systems. Aboard the Eternal Victory, chaos reigned. Admiral Casthor's command screen was filled with endless loops of cats knocking objects off tables, playing with laser pointers, and jumping at cucumbers. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded, all four arms gesturing in frustration. "Why can't we block these transmissions? The patterns are too random." "Admiral," First Observer Anxtil reported, their tentacles drooping in exhaustion. "Their content algorithms keep evolving faster than our filters can adapt. And there's something about the feline movements that creates quantum resonance with our shield harmonics." Back on Earth, Grandma Rose was halfway through explaining the importance of premium vanilla extract when her livestream hit 1 million concurrent viewers. Intelligence agencies had figured out that her specific broadcasting setup, combined with her calm, gentle voice, was wreaking havoc on alien targeting systems. "And remember, sweethearts," she continued, oblivious to her strategic importance, "always chill your dough for at least 2 hours. These aliens might be in a hurry, but proper baking takes patience." Tim's team had expanded their operation. They discovered that combining cat videos with cooking strings created a cascading effect that thoroughly confused the alien fleet's artificial intelligence. The Zixthar computers, trying to analyze Earth's weapons, were attempting to find military significance in videos of kittens falling asleep in cookie dough. "Their whole system is based on finding patterns," Tim explained to his growing online task force. "But they've never encountered anything as chaotic as human social media. Every time they think they've figured out the pattern, someone posts a new trend that changes everything." The impact was devastating. The Zixthar's advanced AI, trained on millions of military encounters, had no framework for processing the concept of viral content. Their attempts to predict human behavior by analyzing social media feeds led to their combat computers displaying error messages in the form of randomly generated memes. "Admiral," a junior officer reported, their scales pale with concern, "our main tactical computer just requested something called a cheeseburger and started speaking in what appears to be ancient human internet language. As Grandma Rose's cookies came out of the oven, she noticed her viewer count had risen to 2 million. Now, isn't that nice?" She smiled at the camera. "I hope some of our new alien friends are watching too. Everyone could use a good cookie recipe." The Zixthar fleet, facing an unprecedented cultural DDoS attack, found itself paralyzed by the most powerful force in the galaxy: human creativity expressed through cat videos and baking tutorials. Kai Chen hadn't slept in 72 hours. The indie game developer had been in the middle of crunch time for their latest project when the aliens invaded, and at this point, their bloodstream was more energy drink than blood. As they watched the Zixthar ground forces deploy from their studio apartment window, their sleep-deprived brain made connections no well-rested person would consider. "You know what?" they muttered to their rubber duck debugging companion. "Those alien battle formations look exactly like the enemy spawning patterns I just coded. And I know all the exploits." The local coffee shop had become an impromptu command center. Jenny Rivera, the head barista, had transformed her usual drink station into a tactical operations desk, complete with coffee cup rings marking potential alien landing zones on borrowed maps. "They're moving in standard search patterns," Jenny explained to her assembled team of caffeine-enhanced regulars, her hands shaking slightly from her 15th espresso. "But you know what they don't account for? Nobody expects parkour baristas hopped up on cold brew. The ZXthar ground commander, sub-leader Stivell, watched in confusion as their perfectly coordinated assault teams encountered resistance unlike anything in their combat databases. Their sensors showed humans moving at speeds that seemed impossible for organic beings, their reactions too quick to track. Analysis indicates these humans should be unconscious from lack of sleep, Stivell reported to the flagship. Instead, they appear to be operating at enhanced speeds. We're detecting dangerous levels of something they call caffeine in their systems. In the streets, chaos reigned, but not the kind the ZXthar had planned for. Kai had organized a group of sleep-deprived programmers and gamers into what they called the Zombie Squad, using their intimate knowledge of video game AI to predict and counter alien movement patterns. They're using pathfinding algorithms. Kai shouted over their tactical channel, which was really just a gaming Discord server. Standard NPC behavior, break line of sight, and they have to recalculate. Jenny's barista brigade had taken to the rooftops, armed with highly concentrated cold brew and an encyclopedic knowledge of urban shortcuts that no alien tactical computer could comprehend. They moved across the city like caffeinated ninjas, appearing from unexpected angles to confuse alien sensors. These humans defy physiological limits, sub-leader Stivell reported, their crystalline armor vibrating with frustration. One of them just explained the entire history of coffee cultivation while running up a vertical wall. Another is moving so fast our targeting systems show temporal distortion. The situation grew more chaotic as the night wore on. The ZXthar's carefully planned ground assault was being undermined by humans who had transcended normal operational parameters through a combination of caffeine, sleep deprivation, and deadline-induced hysteria. You call that a tactical formation? Kai laughed manically, directing their team through another impossible maneuver. I've seen better AI pathing in early access games. In the coffee shop command center, Jenny was organizing the next phase of their defense. The aliens expect us to be tired, she explained, drawing diagrams with coffee grounds. But what they don't understand is that humans have evolved alongside caffeine for thousands of years. We've optimized this. The ZXthar combat computers, attempting to predict human behavior, found themselves completely overwhelmed. Their models couldn't account for sleep-deprived humans operating on pure stimulus and muscle memory, making decisions that bypassed normal logical processes. They just modified their entire battle strategy using something called rubber duck debugging, Stivell reported in disbelief. And their efficiency increases with sleep deprivation. This violates all known laws of biology. As dawn approached, the ZXthar ground forces faced an uncomfortable reality. Their perfect tactics were useless against humans who had abandoned sleep in favor of caffeine-fueled improvisation. Their enemy had evolved beyond the need for rest, powered by energy drinks, coffee, and the peculiar clarity that comes from staying awake for 3 days straight. Maya Singh hadn't meant to crash the alien hive mind. As a digital artist with millions of followers, she was just doing what she always did, creating artwork that captured the zeitgeist of the moment. But when she posted her latest piece, a surreal animation of the ZXthar ships reimagined as cosmic tea kettles serving memes, something unexpected happened. My notification feed just exploded, she told her friend over voice chat. And not with human responses. I'm getting weird quantum feedback signals from the alien fleet. I think they're trying to understand what they're looking at. The ZXthar's artificial intelligence core, designed to process and analyze all human communications, had encountered something it wasn't prepared for. Layers upon layers of ironic internet humor, each reference building on years of shared human cultural evolution. Aboard the Eternal Victory, first observer Anx Till was having the digital equivalent of a migraine. Admiral, our translation matrix is experiencing cascading failures. The humans are communicating in ways that defy logical analysis. Admiral Kazthor stared at his command screen in bewilderment. What is this symbol they keep sending? It appears to be an amphibian, but the text suggests it represents sadness, joy, both simultaneously. The frog in question was just the beginning. Maya's artwork had sparked a global movement. Meme artists worldwide began targeting the alien communication networks with increasingly complex and self-referential content. The Zixathar's Hivemund, attempting to understand human culture through their transmissions, found itself trapped in recursive loops of meaning. Think about it. Maya explained to her rapidly growing Discord community. Their whole society is based on perfect logic and clear communication. They literally can't process the idea of saying one thing and meaning another. So what happens when we send them deep-fried memes? The answer was digital chaos. The alien fleet's communication systems, designed to analyze and understand enemy transmissions, were overwhelmed by humans communicating in multiple layers of irony and cultural references. Warning, the ship's AI announced, it's usually smooth voice glitching. Unable to process incoming transmission labeled, "This is fine," depicting a canine in a burning structure expressing contentment. Logical contradiction detected. Attempting to reconcile. Tommy Chen, a high school student from Vancouver, discovered that sending vintage vaporwave aesthetics caused the alien targeting computers to attempt to recreate the impossible color schemes, overloading their visual processors. A group of art students from Milan found that surreal memes about bread teleporting caused the Zixathar's reality-checking subroutines to crash. Their systems are trying to catalog and understand every variation of every meme. Maya realized, watching the alien network's desperate attempts to create a coherent database of human communication. They can't accept that some things are funny precisely because they don't make sense. In desperation, the Zixathar attempted to fight back by creating their own memes. The results were catastrophic for them. Their carefully constructed attempts at human humor were immediately embraced by internet culture, transformed, and sent back to them in increasingly absurd variations. Admiral Enchtil reported, their tentacles twitching in distress. Our attempt at human mimetic warfare has backfired. They've turned our tactical diagram into something called a wholesome meme, and it's being shared with millions of variations. Our pattern recognition systems are at 99% capacity trying to catalog them all. Maya watched in amazement as her latest creation spread across both human and alien networks. It was a simple animation. The Zixathar fleet reimagined as a group of confused tourists trying to understand modern art, with captions in both English and badly translated alien script. The beauty of it is, she told her followers during a live stream, they can't just shut off their communication systems. They have to monitor our transmissions for military information. But they can't separate the important data from the memes because to us, the memes are important data. The greatest military force in the galaxy was being undone by humanity's ability to find humor in the absurd, to communicate in references and inside jokes, and to create meaning from seeming nonsense. Nina Rodriguez had spent 20 years flying everything from fighter jets to tourist shuttles, but she never expected to lead Earth's strangest space fleet. As she looked at her radar display, she couldn't help but smile at the bizarre assembly of vessels rising from Earth's atmosphere. "All right, space cowboys," she broadcast to her makeshift squadron. "Remember what we practiced. Formation Delta, just like in the simulations, except this time we're flying actual tourist shuttles and maintenance pods." The civilian space fleet was a hodgepodge of vessels never meant for combat, space tourism ships, satellite repair vehicles, research stations, and even a few converted orbital billboard platforms. But what they lacked in military hardware, they made up for in experienced pilots and unconventional thinking. "Blue Group, you're up first," Nina commanded, watching as a squadron of repurposed satellite maintenance pods broke formation. "Show them why fixing satellites in zero makes for excellent combat training." The Zixathar fleet watched in confusion as the human vessels approached. Their tactical computers struggled to classify the incoming ships, which followed no known military doctrine. "Admiral," reported a bewildered tactical officer, "the humans appear to be attacking us with maintenance equipment." Admiral Kazthor's facial ridges pulsed with frustration. Impossible. Their vessels are not rated for combat. Our scans show some of them are designed for human entertainment. What the Zixathar didn't understand was that years of conducting repairs in space had given human maintenance crews an intimate understanding of zero-g maneuvering. The satellite repair pods darted between the alien ships with impossible precision, their tools originally designed for delicate orbital repairs, now proving surprisingly effective at disabling enemy sensors. Just like replacing solar panels on a spinning satellite, commented Maria Chen, a veteran repair specialist, as she used her pod's mechanical arms to disconnect a crucial component from a Zixathar cruiser. Except these targets are a lot bigger and much less cooperative. The space tourism vessels, piloted by experienced civilian pilots, executed maneuvers that the aliens' combat computers classified as pilot error, right until the moment they proved devastatingly effective. Years of keeping passengers safe through the challenges of spaceflight had taught these pilots tricks no military manual would ever include. They're not following any known combat protocols. First observer Still reported, their tentacles writhing in confusion. Each vessel appears to be improvising independently, yet somehow maintaining coordinated effects. Nina grinned as she watched her plan unfold. The converted billboard platforms, their massive display surfaces now used to project false sensor readings, created a light show that played havoc with alien targeting systems. Research vessels, their sensitive instruments repurposed for electronic warfare, broadcast confusing data across all frequencies. Remember, folks, she broadcast to her fleet, we're not trying to outgun them. We're trying to outweird them. Keep those movements unpredictable. The Zixathar combat computers, attempting to predict the civilian fleet's next moves, began showing signs of computational distress. Their tactical algorithms, designed to counter military strategies, had no framework for processing maintenance pods performing acrobatic maneuvers or tourism vessels using their passenger comfort systems as makeshift shield generators. This defies all tactical logic. Admiral Kazthor raged as another squadron of his ships fell into disarray. They're turning their weaknesses into advantages. As the battle reached its peak, Nina coordinated her final masterstroke. The entire civilian fleet began moving in what appeared to be a chaotic dance, each ship following seemingly random patterns that somehow, impossibly, worked together to create holes in the Zixathar formation. My old flight instructor said I'd never need to know how to do a barrel roll in a tourist shuttle, Nina commented as she led her ship through a complex series of maneuvers. Guess we both learned something new today. The sight of Earth's civilian space fleet outmaneuvering the galaxy's most advanced military force would become legendary. Not because they had better ships or weapons, but because they had something the Zixathar couldn't compute: the human ability to adapt, improvise, and turn seemingly useless skills into unexpected advantages. It started with a tweet. After 11 hours of chaos, the mighty Zixathar fleet's unconditional surrender came in the form of a social media post, complete with auto-translated emojis. The message appeared simultaneously across all platforms. At Zixathar Official, we formally request immediate cessation of hostilities. Your cat videos are too powerful. Also, please send more of Grandma Rose's cookie recipes. #surrender, #alien invasion, #baking tips. In the aftermath, the various groups of unlikely heroes gathered for a virtual victory celebration. Jake Martinez, the teenage coder who first cracked the alien encryption, was comparing notes with Mira Patel about quantum computing vulnerabilities. Alex Stardrifter Thompson was already working on a new game based on their experience commanding drone fleets against alien warships. The best part, Alex told their streaming audience, is that the Zixathar agreed to let us use their actual battle footage for the game's cutscenes. Their only condition was that we include a warning label: no aliens were permanently traumatized in the making of this game. Grandma Rose's cooking channel had gained an interstellar audience. The HFY scientific community was particularly fascinated by her insistence on precise measurements and proper ingredient temperature, finding surprising parallels with their own devotion to perfect order. Though I must say, Rose commented during her first post-war livestream, their suggestion to bake cookies at absolute zero was a bit extreme. Sometimes you need to let things get a little messy to make something wonderful. Admiral Kazthor, in his formal surrender speech, looked simultaneously defeated and bewildered. "We came expecting primitive defenders," he admitted, his facial ridges drooping. "Instead, we found a species that turned chaos into an art form. Your teenagers understand quantum mechanics better than our scientists, simply because they wanted to improve their gaming experience." The global party was interrupted briefly when the alien translation matrix had a final breakdown trying to process the trending hashtag #Starbound. The resulting cascade of error messages somehow became its own meme, with humans and aliens collaboratively creating increasingly absurd variations. Nina Rodriguez's civilian space fleet had become legendary across the galaxy. Other alien civilizations began requesting human pilots as instructors, particularly interested in learning what they called the maintenance pod maneuver. Nina herself was writing a book titled From Tourism to Tactical: How Customer Service Experience Saved Earth. The thing is, she explained in an interview, when you've spent years trying to keep space tourists from getting sick in Zerog, actual combat maneuvering feels pretty straightforward. Maya Singh's meme-based art was being studied by alien anthropologists as a new form of psychological warfare. The HFY had even established a dedicated research division to study human internet culture, though their first attempt at creating their own memes resulted in another minor system crash and several confused AI therapists. Tim O'Brien's discovery about cat videos had revolutionized alien shield technology. "They're now designing their defensive systems to be deliberately imperfect," he explained. "Turns out a little chaos makes them more effective. Though I'm still not sure why videos of kittens playing with yarn have quantum-disrupting properties." Kai Chen had finally gotten some sleep, though not before their caffeine-fueled tactical innovations had been added to several alien military academies' training programs. The funny thing is, they said during a remote guest lecture, "I'm pretty sure half of those strategies only worked because I was too tired to realize they shouldn't." As Earth celebrated its most improbable victory, the galaxy at large was revising its assessment of human civilization. The classification of Earth had been officially updated from pre-FTL developing world to approach with extreme caution. They run on caffeine and chaos. The HFY, for their part, had developed an almost religious reverence for human unpredictability. Their ships now carried mandatory supplies of coffee, their crews studied meme culture as part of basic training, and their tactical computers had been reprogrammed to occasionally make intentional mistakes, just to keep things interesting. As Grandma Rose would say, while teaching alien diplomats the importance of properly creaming butter and sugar, sometimes the best way to achieve perfection is to embrace a little imperfection. Now, who wants to learn about chocolate chip cookies?